Okay, we continue. Risk uncertainty has
In our assessment of risk, we also want to talk about uncertainty and stakeholder involvement. And in this context, we want to think about risk perception and the role that uncertainty plays in that, as it's related to also involving stakeholders. So we're going to talk about stakeholders and talk about how to hear the voice of those stakeholders as we're making decisions and as we're planning our new venture. So entrepreneurial opportunities are often defined by considerable risk and uncertainty. Are electric vehicles really going to take hold? Are mobile devices going to be the ultimate way that we communicate and use computers? Is alternative sources of energy, the wind turbines and the solar panels, something that is going to be a reality at a mass market scale? And when we think about these elements, entrepreneurs differ from corporate managers and how they have to make these decisions. We do analysis, but there's a bit more intuition. We get the views of others, but we still need to make individualistic decisions. We need to have that tolerance for ambiguity. We need to have confidence in our skills and knowledge and expertise. And when we look at opportunities, we want to recognize that understanding how entrepreneurs make informed decisions is in part informed by how we view risk and the perceived uncertainty and the perceived risk. Now, what we mean by perceived is what we think versus what the reality may in fact be. The reality we'll call the objective risk. So perceived is the belief. The objective is the reality. And perceived risks often drive entrepreneurs and drive entrepreneurial decisions because we are working to make decisions now on something that is going to become a reality, we hope, in the future. So when we look at the success of new ventures, we want to think about the choices that we make. They're fast changing. It's a demand for interpreting information quickly and diagnosing strengths and weaknesses and opportunities and threats. It's an element of working with incomplete information and being comfortable with that and making decisions in the face of uncertainty. So when we look at such a question of, well, is launching a startup in the alternative energy market a good idea? Well, we can't answer that yet. Alternative energy can mean a lot of things. It can mean wind. It can mean sun. It can mean water or other resources. We can look at data and we can see information on wind energy and electric vehicles. We can look at elements that are tied to pollution-free sources of electricity. We can look at the onset of solar in the US and abroad. We can look at plastic bag use. We can look at independency from fossil fuels. So we can collect data, and we can collect lots of data as entrepreneurs if alternative energy is something that we're interested in. But there's a question, again, of what do we do with it? Well, we can do lots of things. We can look at home automation. We can look at improving the efficiencies of homes. Do we want to build hardware devices, software devices, add-ons, original equipment? Different companies are doing a variety of different things in this space. It's a big space with a lot of uncertainty. We could pick a subset of that. Suppose we've elected to answer the question of is an alternative energy venture a good idea, and we want to focus on the home, and we want to focus on solar, and we want to focus on solar panels. Well, that's a market. It's still a relatively expensive market that we have to do the math on to see, is this something that we'd like to engage in? Would we like to participate in some fashion? And if not solar, then might it be wind? And what's the future of that? And is there an opportunity there for us? Is it not wind, but is it what you see on the upper right-hand corner of tankless water heaters? Instead of keeping 50 gallons of water hot all the time, let's get hot water when we need it and only when we need it, on demand, as we are taking a shower, as we are washing clothes, as we're using a dishwasher, whatever it is we may do that we need hot water. Let's not incur the energy cost of keeping it hot 24/7. Let's incur that energy cost only when we need it. So a variety of different ways that can make your head spin as far as where do you go and what do you do. But the context of it is we want to recognize how to mitigate that risk and do our homework and do our research, understand what's out there, understand how we can be differentiated, understand what competitors are doing, and how we can be sustainably competitive thereafter. Intuition from your past experiences will play a role, and this is another reason to think about new ventures that you can create that leverage your experience, that bring to bear some knowledge that you've experienced on your own, rather than having expertise in one area and trying to do a startup in a completely different area for which you have no experience advantage. This individualistic view is helpful, and that it's complemented by your team, but it still puts you in the driver's seat of being comfortable with making the ultimate decision. The high tolerance for ambiguity, again, valuable for making difficult choices with imperfect information. And confidence. Confidence in your skills and your knowledge and your expertise. Now, stakeholders play a big role. Stakeholders can be a variety of things. It's essentially anybody who has an impact or effect, or is affected by your venture and your activities. Customers, perhaps the number one thing you would think of, might be suppliers, investors, and others. We want to hear from them, and we want to hear from them early, and we want to understand what's their experience, their desires, their wants. What do they not want? And we want to learn that information as early as possible. We want to have more awareness of what their needs are, and we want to reduce our uncertainty by hearing their voice early. Now, who to focus on? Well, with limited resources, it's difficult to do everything. But we want to select stakeholders that are representative, that have some measure of power or legitimacy or urgency. We want to hear them via interviews. We want to talk with them face-to-face. We may want to do some focus groups. We may want to do some surveys. There are a variety of mechanisms that you can use, including some online tools and some free tools, to do some of this as well. So be sure when you're doing this to think about the impact of risk perception and uncertainty, to get some valuable input from your stakeholders, and to manage risk. think about these assets that we've talked about that you can develop internally that are informed by the stakeholder interviews and focus groups and surveys that you may do. So in summary, by understanding these components of entrepreneurial behavior, you can understand where you are. You can understand your own elements of how high are the risks that you're willing to take. What are the rewards and the consequences? And what elements of the decision can you integrate to include hearing the voice of the customer and the voice of the stakeholder very early in the planning of your venture?
Okay. Entrepreneurs have a natural desire to take risk at a higher level than normal. True, which type of individual are more likely to discover and act on an entrepreneurial opportunity. Internal locus of control. Within the more valuable measure of your social capital, the diversity of people that you know. Why build social capital? To be better informed, to be more efficient problem solving, to be more valuable, to be more creativity. We can see it at the end. I think. Okay. Okay. Why build social capital? Entrepreneurial behavior. Kinshas. Social capital. I will try to better informed, better informed. They more create, okay. They more efficiency. Be a more valuable collaborator. They see opportunity, they know that they can foster cooperation. How would you define autonomous mindset? Be sure to discuss it of 5 factors. We respond in 1 to 2 paragraphs. Okay. How can you increase your comfort level with making strategy decision quickly with limited information and high consequence? One paragraph. One paragraph. Mindset. Here.
Mindset. we want to recognize that at the heart of the matter is is that market opportunities, technology, and influence new venturing and entrepreneurs, they think, as well as what influences their decision. Launch, grow, and maintain startup ventures. And we're going to do that by diving into the opportunity analysis canvas in the first segment of entrepreneurial mindset. The first element we're going to look at of entrepreneurial mindset.
Achievement, individualism, control, focus, optimism. Achievement, individualism, control, focus, control, focus, optimism. Okay, we are interested in your personal ability or internal motivation because made up three factors to this goal that are related to internal support. We are interested in your personal ability on internal motivation because goal directed behavior initiative and okay. Let us just we will take some. It's often right by diesel. High level of energy, partial venture, regular mental and internal motivation.
We want to focus on three distinct elements. We'll talk about self-efficacy.
Discuss each of three factors to with goal direction, behavior, relationship, mentality. One pair.
Cognitive motivation, and tolerance for ambiguity. And this is the second element of the opportunity analysis canvas. With self-efficacy, it is similar to confidence, but it's focused on your ability to achieve a specific task. So this intersects the element of entrepreneurial activities you may have self-efficacy, accounting, and finance. Predict is certainly one of those, and that's building experience. Trusted sources play a role as well. I'm associated with it. Cognitive motivation plays a role in that. So with cognition, as a reminder, this is cognition, of entrepreneurial and solve the problem. It took 50 tremendous either pulling was the element decision. Principal would take a laptop, break her, I was to think about and counterfactual data. Fantastical future without any real validation. We want to be confident. But this is the element asking people in the world, experts, as we talk with candidate customers, this is the second element of the opportunity analysis canvas. It's related to achieve a specific efficacy of the opportunity analysis, but it's focused on your ability to achieve a specific task. So this intersects the element of entrepreneurial mindset and entrepreneurial motivation. It's related to control, but again, it's activity specific. You may be a confident person, but you may not have self-efficacy as it's related to public speaking, for example. You may have high confidence in yourself in general, but you may not have high self-efficacy when it comes to developing cash flow statements in an accounting and financial element. So in this context, what we want to recognize with self-efficacy is that it's a piece of confidence that's task-specific, and it's a top predictor of individual performance in a variety of tasks. When you think about how to improve your self-efficacy, well, mastery is certainly one of those, and that's building experience and building expertise. There's role modeling, which is observing others. There is social persuasion, of verbal encouragement from trusted sources, from our friends and family that we can do it. And there are other psychological cues that play a role as well. So when we look at some of the great entrepreneurs of our time, to include Thomas Edison, you see a variety of mantras and quotes associated with him. And so with that, we see this element of a can-do attitude, an element of persistence.
Initiation. In consider the role of Greek in accepted to Melbourne. Cigarette as higher rank than civil. He saw an opportunity. And inside will inside by choosing some individual democracy outcome. Yes. Because they might inside some because they might have some inside real mind, some inside they might have some inside view. They have some inside view and or some inside that might they think they can accomplish. What are the code accomplish? That đồng thi là can code under code other code to not code other other not accomplished and also it might not be
It might not be dissuaded by past situations where others fail.
by past situations where others fail. They have some
And we tend to have some inclination towards a positive outcome. So when you look at this and you think,
they to so they look this. They tend to have some inclination to what positive outcome. So when you look at this and you think yes, some they tend to have some in inclination toward a positive outcome. Okay, normally this words right here. Difficult to actually one sentence. How can you improve your confidence level better? Maybe here. High tolerance for ambiguity.
High tolerance for ambiguity, again, valuable for making difficult choices with imperfect information.
Yeah, so we need to search improve. We look at improve. Barrier perform corporate measure in how they have to make the decision. They get to feel other individualistic decision. When we look at opportunity, we want to recognize that and how
Perfect information. And confidence. Confidence in your skills and your knowledge and your expertise. Now, stakeholders play a big role. Stakeholders can be a variety of things. It's essentially anybody who has an impact or effect or is affected by your venture and your activities. Customers, perhaps the number one thing you would think of, might be suppliers, investors, and others. We want to hear from them, and we want to hear from them early.
okay, let's see. Yes, knowledge. Erase that. Okay. Maybe I say somewhere. Put improve our skill knowledge skill knowledge capacity skills area. Develop decision-making framework, improve information gathering, key factor, develop iteration pattern recognition, embrace quick management strategy, role access, set variable property. Yes. First thing, develop decision-making framework. Develop decision-making framework. Framework. Then next we have window information gathering. Information gathering. Prioritize key factor. Prioritize key factor. Prioritize key factor and then develop intuition and pattern recognition. Develop intuition, pattern recognition. Develop intuition and pattern recognition. Intuition and enrage, quick manager, enrage. High risk manager, strategy, enrage, role message, enrage, role message. Okay, and then we will have set diverse properties. Set diverse property. Okay, and this one. We can put three factor this internal rank they are multiplied to sustain multiplication to have energy equation. So integration Mention because they have strong internal motor control, mean they believe they have control over their own action and outcome. Strong compass Jupiter that checking the strategy. Okay, so privilege only need to go the three factor initiation and then this issue. Okay, we can go again. Skill, from knowledge, perspective. Confirm. Okay, so we need to yeah. So this one. So the if the one pattern initiation is arrived by autonomy and purpose taking the initiative to unify point they subtain motivation to energy derived from intrinsic fashion reward to maintain motivation they should clear goal, seek support network and adapt strategy. Entrepreneurial motivation is rooted in personal drive and achievement insight. Okay, so clear. So three things are the same. Put here too long. Remember improve your comfortable which strategy making information and technical by developing decision-making framework, enhance problem-solving skills, addressing calculation, risk taking, seeking diversity, develop property, learning from experience, and trusting your instincts. You can become more adept and emotion high concern. Okay. What? This one, no problem. Don't care. So see you in the week 3. Yes.